Like I said before, we are gonna start nice and easy. We're gonna do one component at a time. And the first component we're gonna have is gonna be search.js. As we head over to the search.js, first and foremost, I would like to destructure the props that we're getting. And we know how already we can do that. We just say handle change. That's gonna be the name for the prop. And we also have handle submit, as well as we'll have a search prop. This is going to be for the value. And we're going to set it this equal to this dot, and then we're going to be looking for the props. Since obviously these are the props that we're getting. Awesome. Now we're going to do a container with a row. So now this is going to be basically our look that we're going to be having, where we're going to have some kind of title. Then here we're going to have the label, and then there's going to be an input. But in this case, if in a previous video, we look at the prepending where we prepended the actual button or whatever. And in this case, we're going to append this. So there's going to be a button that's going to submit the form. But in this case, it's going to be on the other side. That's the whole idea for this component. And I'm going to delete it right now, the div. We don't need it anymore. Like I said, we're going to start as always, since this is a bootstrap. I'm going to say, okay, so there's going to be a div, or this div is going to have a class of container. Now, in this case, it's not going to be container fluid. This is just going to be container. Also, we're going to have a row, like with the rest of the bootstrap that we always do, as well as we're going to have one column. Now, this column is going to be extra small screen 10 columns wide, or div that's 10 columns wide. This is always going to be in the center. So we have the MX auto, and then we're going to say that starting from the medium screen, that's the class, we're going to have 8 columns wide. So it's going to be a little bit smaller starting from the medium screen. As well as margin top, we're gonna have like 5 values, which in that case, one empty one, or I'm sorry, in general, M1 is gonna be 0. I believe 25, and then we have M3 is gonna be 1 REMs, then M4 is gonna be 1.5, and M5 I think would be 2.5 or something like that. I would need to check obviously the documentation. But in general, you just know that M5 or padding 5 is going to be the biggest, and 1 is going to be the smallest. As well as I would like to place it in the center. So text center. And you know what? This is now bugging me. So why don't we go to the bootstrap and find out for sure? So I'm going to have bootstrap. Then we have utility classes. We have documentation. We can always check utilities. Where it is utils. Something like this. We should have the utilities for layout. That's going to be what we're looking for. Flexbox options. And yeah, like I said, margin and padding, these would be the spacing utilities. And let's see what they were going to say. So 0 is going to be no margin and padding. Then 1 is going to be 0.25. Then 2 is 0.5. Then we have 3. So let's say empty 3 is going to be 1. That would be the default one. And then we have also 1.5 as well as 3. So yeah, my apologies. So the 4 was 1.5, but 5 was actually 3 REMs. That's what I was trying to tell you, and I just actually forgot that these little values change like that. Okay, so we have heading 1. Heading 1 is going to have some kind of class name. So first of all, we would want it to be slanted. So I'm going to say text slanted, and then within the heading 1, we also can capitalize it. So text capitalize, something like this. And then let's write some text. We're going to say search recipes with, and now it's going to have some strong tags. Strong tag. And within the strong tag, why don't we also have a class name of text orange? That's the class that we created ourselves. Remember, all the way in the beginning. And within the text orange, we're just going to write some, I don't know, food to fork, and this should be capitalized anyway, so we'll see how this is going to work. Food to fork. But obviously, the second one I would need to obviously do it myself. So let me just change it. I'm just going to leave it like this. And then I have search recipes with food to fork. Everything is looking really well. And what else? What else? Well, here the problem is I didn't place this heading 1 in the center. So I'm going to take this out. Then we're going to have the closing class name. That's why the layout is not exactly like I would want. And here, let's say div. And now within this div, this is where we're going to be placing our heading 1. Let's copy and paste it. And now everything looks really well where we have the search recipes with food to fork. And we already know that this is going to be 3 REMs. Okay. And then I would like to place the form. So right after the heading 1, there's going to be a form. I'm going to say form, and you know what? We might as well can add some class names to it. And we're going to say margin top is going to be 4, which we already know is what? Well, you can double check, but I think it should be 1.5. And just to make my case that I was right, I will going to head over back, and I'm going to show you that yes, this was 1.4, and now I might as well can close it. Okay, so we have the form. Okay, so far so good. Then we're also going to have the label. This is where we're going to write that, let's say, type recipes separated by comma, which we're going to have to do if we will want to get the information from food to fork. So I'm going to say label. That's going to be my actual element. And let's say this is going to be label for search input that we're going to create later on. And this is kind of important where in the React, we need to use this HTML4. Previously, if you have worked with label attributes, you know that you can just use for, but in React, this would be HTML4. And then, you know what? Let's also add another class name. Let's say class name of text capitalize. Capitalize. And within the text, let's write, I don't know, type recipes. Recipes separated by comma. That's the text that we're going to write. This will going to be our label. All right, so far so good. Then we're going to start working with input group because, like I said, we would want to append this submit button, not prepend it like we did in the previous project. So for that, we're going to have the div with class of input group. Then within the input group, first we're going to place our input since we're going to be appending our button, submit button. And for that, we're going to have the type. Type is going to be text. Then let's also write name. Name is going to be, in our case, search. As well as we can add maybe a class name that comes with Bootstrap, which is going to be for styling of form. Control. And by the way, they also have this form control large. I believe this was something like this. Form control large. That was coming with the Bootstrap. Yeah, and now you can see this is massive. So this is something that you like. You can obviously keep it. I think this is a little bit too wild, so I'm just going to keep it without it. As well as I'm just going to have some placeholder here. So I'm going to write placeholder where I would like to make suggestion to a user that this is how he or she should write these values. I'm going to write onion. Then we're going to have carrots, something like this. As well as the last two things that we would need for the React for the controlled input, which one of them was value, the attribute of value, which will going to be equal to this search that comes right now from recipes, from our state, from here, as well as we're going to have the onChange, which is going to be our method that we're passing down. So onChange event, that's going to use this handle change. And we're going to head over back. And we're going to have these two things. Value is going to be first. Then for this, we obviously going to say search, since we already have destructured our props, as well as the last one is going to be on change. And this is going to be equal to a handle change, not handle submit, handle change. Let me save this. Let's see what we're going to have for now. Okay, I think this looks pretty decent. And then not within the input, of course, but still within the input group, I would like to have my appending class. So for that, there's going to be a div with input group append. That's going to be my class name. And then within this div, there's going to be a button, and we're going to have just a submit button. Type will be submit. And then within the button, this is where I would like to place my font awesome. Remember, in the very, very beginning, we had that font awesome that we installed, but we haven't used it, of course. And I would just want my search icon. So I'm going to say FAS search, and let's see what we're going to have. That's going to be my appended button. However, I guess there's one more thing that I could technically do. First of all, I could maybe work with the form where I could create it the full width, meaning the input. Let's try that one. Class. And let's see how this is going to work. I could at least try. Now this is not going to look really well. Maybe I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm just going to leave it the way it's sitting right now. And what else? What else? Well, I would want to add some classes probably. I'm going to say for the button, I would want to have some colors. Let's say input group text. First of all, we would need input group text, and then we're going to have BG primary. We also would want a text white. So our button is going to look something like that, like so. And last but not least, we have the on click event. And for that, we're going to pass the reference to our handle submit. And that should do for the search. Again, we're not going to set up any kind of logic. The only thing we're going to be typing, and obviously this should be working. So let's see why we're not getting back everything that we needed, because the value was search and everything was set up in a state. So let's see what we have. Maybe we have some kind of warnings or something like this. So we have the elements. Okay, that's not what we want. We have console, and then it says here failed prop to a form field with on change. This will render. Okay, I think that maybe I didn't name it properly. So I had on change. Okay, value. And yeah, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Failed. You provided value prop to a form field without on change handler. We do have the on change handler. And obviously, yeah, the reason for that is because I don't have handle change. Yeah, I'm sorry. I did have the correct one. And obviously, this is handle change. Let's see whether this is going to fix it. Now, let me type it. Yeah, now everything is typing well. At the moment we're going to submit it, the page is not going to be refreshing because we do have the prevent default. So all this is working fine. Like I warned you, it will going to say, well, useless constructor. Yeah, useless right now, but later on we're going to use it. So that should do it. Hopefully everything worked out for you guys as well. And now we can start working with our list.